Good evening, everybody, and you are very welcome along to this, what I can only describe as an emotional plea of a video, because that's how I fear this is going to go. I said to myself, I'm going to sit here and just give you my thoughts on how I feel about the direction our football club is headed in, where we're at now, and what I think we should do. I welcome all of your feedback, and please do let me know in the comment section how you're feeling about the current situation. I've a lot that I want to get off my chest, but before I do, a quick reminder about the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp. We're going to be starting a giveaway monthly with thanks to our friends at the Collector's Corner. And the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp is also where we put in the latest breaking Liverpool news. We give you guys the forms in there for a player ratings video. So if you want to be part of that and be able to chance to win those signed prizes moving forward, make sure you are signed up to our WhatsApp community. Apart from that, that's where the good news pretty much ends for me, ladies and gents. Right now I'm sitting here having just recorded the Anfield Agenda podcast with Chris and Connor, and that is out right now on Spotify if you want to go and have a listen to it. But I'm heartbroken. I'm sitting here now trying to figure out how just a few short months after we enter this season, full of hope and optimism, we're here feeling heartbroken, lost and forlorn. I really don't know how else to describe it. Right now, I can't even contemplate the remainder of this season with Arne Slot staying on as Liverpool coach. I just don't see who it benefits or how it's sensible. We don't know what the club are thinking because the club hide in the shadows. Those that are making the decisions, Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards, are answerable to nobody except the owners of this football club. They won't and don't sit in front of cameras and give you a take about what is happening. They hide in the shadows, leak what they need to leak, push the narratives that they want to push, and then sit there and let the rest of us deal with the consequences. Right now, Liverpool have just lost another game of football. Liverpool have just entered into defending their league title in such a pitiful manner that it astounds me how it's even a conversation that Arne should keep his job. There was always this unbeaten run, this 13 games that was being floated about. Well, that's out the window now, because what we'd seen today was shambolic. All week, our manager, our head coach, had bigged up the Bournemouth team for one that don't come and play with a low block, for one that do come out and play brave football. You know, the type of football that he'd been complaining that we don't face enough when we face low block teams, which are, of course, our Achilles heel. Well, today, he's trying to blame the wind and everything else for what was quite simply an unacceptable performance. Our captain should be ashamed of that display and should be ashamed of his lack of leadership and should be ashamed of his lack of culpability and taking ownership of the mistake. He made the mistake that led to the first goal with his usual nonchalant attitude of not putting the boot through it or putting any aggression into that clearance. He can say that he misjudged it from the wind, but you all seen it. He threw a lazy leg at it, one that looked like he was more trying to control the ball than put it out. But yet again, rather than address that, our manager tries to cover it up and make excuses for it. We are seeing a real lack of leadership at our football club. And at a time where that lack of leadership is coming to its peak, what do we think is the right thing to do? Move on Andy Robertson, your vice captain, somebody that literally oozes leadership from every pore. So at this point of the season, as a fan, I'm supposed to think that we're not writing off the season, that there is some grand master plan at play here. Andy Robertson has earned the right to decide his own future. He will go with the love and respect and admiration of every single Liverpool fan, myself included. But that doesn't mean we can't be a little bit selfish. How does it make any sense to move Robbo on now from our perspective? We're going to bring back in Costas, a player who the manager had already decided was surplus to requirements, and a player who can't get game time over at Roma. But I'm supposed to believe that he will be good enough to come in and provide competition and leadership at a time where we are really lacking it. Our goalkeeper, Alisson Becker, looks a shadow of his former self and didn't listen to his manager's instructions today when he was asked to put the ball out. Nobody fears the consequences of not responding to this manager's words, and that's part of the problem. Right now we are a leaderless club. We're a club that is just floating through the season, and the ambition seems to be that we hope that we can either pull a Champions League miracle out of our backsides or that we can somehow scrape into the top 4 or 5. That's not good enough. That should not be good enough, and that was not the goal at the start of the season. So please don't let these people fool you into thinking that this is acceptable, that this is anything other than a complete shit show, because that's what it is. Nobody has any ill intent towards Arne, but let's call it like it is. He's not good enough. The players aren't playing for him. The fans are absolutely finished with him, and he needs to be relieved of his duties. Yes, thank for what he's done. But he isn't alone in the blame game here. Let's look at Messrs Hughes and Edwards, because they really do have questions to answer. How can it not be a sporting opportunity when you want a player in August, you want the same player on a free next summer, but when your situation defensively has gotten worse, you don't think it's a market opportunity to go out and spend £20 million plus the wages to bring in Mark Gay in January? So what do? The club that are supposed to be ambitious, the club that want to win a Champions League, we sit back and allow Manchester City, who are not only a direct rival in the Premier League title race, of which we're not in, by the way, they're also a direct rival in the Champions League. You know, the competition that we're supposed to be holding out the hope for that we win this season. Well, we sat back and allowed them to sign him and Antoine Semenyo. And how has that gone for them so far? Quite well. Antoine Semenyo can't stop scoring. Mark Gay slipped straight into the team and looks like he was meant to be there. Meanwhile, we got to Bournemouth, the team that Arna bigged up as one that wouldn't play with the low block, and yet we still fall apart and get beaten. None of us, absolutely none of us, were surprised that we conceded that goal at the end of the game today. None of us. Sad, yes. Angry, yes. But surprised? No. And when it happened, look at the body language of the players. Did they look around to accept responsibility? No, they ran to the referee to try to find somebody to bail them out rather than standing there and dealing with the consequences of their own failures yet again. This club is falling apart. This club is nowhere near where it should be, and the vibe has been taken from one full of optimism and desire and passion and what might be to one now in January where we're talking about the season being a write-off almost, the manager needing to be gone. It takes a special kind of fuck-up to get us from that position where even Chris Stonage, who said he's never gone in expecting Liverpool to win a league, was coming in this year optimistic and hoping we'd win the league. As was I, as I dare say were you. But as the season's gone on and as the failures have started, the excuses and the tolerance of those excuses have started to increase. Those in the media who profess to be professional, who profess to want the best for this football club and its readership and its fan base, have excused these failures. Whether it is Arne Slot heading off to Dubai in October, whether it is the end of last season partying before the season's over, none of this is right. None of this is setting the standard. None of this is good enough or should be acceptable. If you talk about this football club and Virgil makes his sound bites talking about the standards and Arna makes his sound bites about standards, that's not just words. You live that. You do it day by day, every day, the right things over and over again. They become a habit. Winning becomes a habit. Those standards need to be maintained and met. For the first time in the last 10 years, I don't think anybody is stepping up to maintain those standards. Our captain looks like he just looks lost out there. He does not look like a leader at the minute. We know he usually leads on the pitch, but even at that right now, he looks far removed from it. Is he playing Mohamed Salah out of sheer desperation now? Because his form hasn't really improved, but our situation has gotten more dire. We went into this game today with the manager feeling he had to rest his only fit centre forward and roll the dice on playing Cody Gakpo on one side, Salah on the other, and two false tens through the middle in Wirtz and Szoboszlai. Because the squad was thin. The same squad that he wants small, but yet wants to use excuses about injuries. It just doesn't add up. None of this has added up. I don't know who is doing the strategic long-term planning at this football club, but it doesn't feel like they're thinking very long-term, or it doesn't feel like they're thinking for success. Right now, we have the guts of a season gone, and it's getting worse. The fan base morale is on the floor. Don't believe me? Look at any chat room. Take any poll you want. Conduct any snapshot poll anywhere on social media and you'll see Liverpool fans angry. But most importantly, and this is the part that breaks my heart, feeling like they can't even look forward to their escape. The thing that is the highlight of many of our weeks, the Reds in action. That now has become something that we fear rather than enjoy. And I'm not talking about being spoiled about winning. I'm talking about not recognising what we're seeing in front of us. Not recognising the calibre of player that wears that badge, that plays with the liver bird on their chest. And yet we want to remove Andy Robertson? How is that going to help us? Who is making these decisions? It needs to change. We deserve better. You deserve better. I'm not going to be on shouting and screaming here in this video because that's too easy for people to point at me and say he's part of the problem. He's toxic. I'm trying to maintain my calm, but make no mistake about it. It breaks my heart to see my fellow Liverpool fans so desperate for change, so desperate to try to figure out what on earth is happening. How can we be the defending Premier League champions and potentially if Villa win tomorrow, be 10 points off 4th place? Ladies and gentlemen, we have not won a league game in 2026, of which we've played 5. Let that sit. We have taken 4 points from a possible 15 in the Premier League. That is not good enough in any era of Liverpool Football Club, let alone a time where a manager has been given £450 million to strengthen his squad. To be talking about having to take people off early to protect from injuries, what are we protecting them for? We don't want to become Arsenal under Arsene Wenger, where the club and the board deem it appropriate to finish 4th and that's good enough because that brings the Champions League money. That's not what Liverpool fans want. We go into every season hoping and expecting a trophy because that's what this football club's supposed to be about. Liverpool Football Club exists to win trophies. So rather than pulling out the hypocritical lines talking about the Liverpool way, let's start acting like Liverpool. Let's start demanding those standards are enforced. And they have to run from Hughes and Edwards downwards. Because they're the ones that don't have to answer to anybody other than the owners. They're the ones that are hiding in the shadows making these decisions, aren't sitting in front of camera, aren't explaining them, aren't giving the fans an idea of what is being built. Just trying to steer the narrative from behind the scenes, briefing their friendly journalists and trying to push like this is anything other than what it is. A shit show, a failure. You deserve better. We together deserve better. So let's hope that they see sense and they relieve Arne Slot of his duties very soon. Because make no mistake, he deserves to be fired. He deserves praise and will always be welcome back for being a manager that won the league title with Liverpool. But he's also a hypocrite that has talked complete garbage from one press conference to the next. When he won the league title, he went out of his way to say, never mind this, 2 league titles in 30 years. This is 2 league titles in 5 years. Until last week, when again results weren't going his way, and he wanted to remind us all that this club has only won 2 league titles in 30 years. This is just a snapshot of the type of doublespeak nonsense that we're suffering. So for me right now, ladies and gentlemen, I've laid my heart out there. Over to you to let me know how you're feeling. But we need to be clear, we need to be vocal, and we need to be together on this. We cannot accept mediocrity. Mediocrity cannot become the norm. You deserve better. We are capable of much better. This board needs to step up and start providing the fans answers. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I look forward to reading your comments and appreciate your support as always. Much love.